All right, this is for 4.5 out of math for 8th grade. Things to remember. We have standard form here, which is ax plus by equals c. From that form, we can get our slope-intercept form. That's what they're showing us here in example 1 right here. Notice the first thing we do is move this over to the other side to right here. When it's a negative, we add, so it's plus 2x on this side, plus 2x on this side, and that brought it over, left the 3y by itself, minus 6. Y then is divided by, or the 3y is divided by 3 here. It leaves us with just a y, and it ends up being 2/3 x minus, and 6 divided by 3 equals 2, so, and it remains negative. So, and then this form right here is slope-intercept form. And so that's example 1. Once you have slope-intercept form, you can use that information to graph it. The first thing we're always looking for here is this b, or whatever it is, b anyways. It's where the y, the first, where you can make, if x were 0, all I'm left with y equals -2. So you can see they did it here. X equals 0, y equals -2. And they graphed it right there. Then they used the slope, which they did the bottom first. They went over 3 and then up 2. Do it either way. I could go up 2 and over 3. It gets me to the same spot. And there's my second dot. Now I can graph this through those 2 points. And yeah, that's as simple as that. If I were to look at some of the examples here on the bottom, I would do the same process to make sure that we understood it, of course. I would move this x over, and I would have -x minus 2 and y on this side, and that one would be ready to graph then. So that's how that works. One more thing to remember here that I did not say. A and B can both of them can't be 0. One of them could be 0, but both of them could not be 0. Otherwise it wouldn't work. I'm just going to remind you here, this is something you should have in your notebook. This is something you would write in it. Standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c, where you would write this in your notebook so you don't forget it. This whole assignment is about this standard form right here. And now I'm going to do number 2 example. And this one, we're graphing a linear equation in a standard form. So standard form, again, remember they established on example 1 on the other page there, ax plus by equals c. So that form right there, I've got an ax more or less right there, even though it's just a 1. I've got ax right here, which is 1x, plus by, and this one happens to be a 3 for the b, equals -3, or c. So we're going to graph this using intercepts. So step 1, to find the x-intercept, we substitute a 0 for the y, which is going to 0 this out and leave me with x equaling exactly something. So if y is equal to 0, then 3 times 0 is 0, and x then equals -3. There's my first intercept. So when y equals 0, right there, x equals -3. So that goes right here. That's my first solution. Then I'm substituting the y with a 0. So, the x with a 0. So x times 0, or x times x being 0, plus 3y. And then what they did here, they divided both sides by 3 to get the 3 or the y all by itself. That gives me y equals -1. So y equals -1 right there. X is 0. It's on the 0. It's not on and then y equals -1. There's that. For the next one, for example 3, I'll go through this quick too. Real life application. This one's going to be important. Probably won't have to remember it as much. So I just read through this. We have $6 to spend on apples and bananas. We're going to graph the equation 1.5x plus 0.6y equals 6, where x is the number of pounds of apples and y is the number of pounds of bananas. B interprets the intercepts. Okay. A, find the intercepts in the graph in the equation. So they gave us this. Let's see. And they just pulled the information here from the two little signs and our information here. So 1.5x plus dot dot dot, substitute for the 0 on the x-intercept first. So substitute y in here. That's what they did. And x equals, and then they did math a whole bunch without us thinking about it. So it's 6 divided by 1.5. This is canceled out. Divide this by 1.5, divide this by 1.5, gives me 4. So x equals 4, while y equals 0. When x equals 0, y equals 10. They substituted in. This goes away because of 0 times 1.5 is 0. Then 0.6, y equals there. When I divide 6, and I have this decimal here, it's just going to make it go over 1. Because 6 over 6 is 1, and I have to move the decimal over 1. But either way, but if I have to work out the math, I'll just do it here real quick so you guys can see it. 0.6 and 6. I can't do this without moving the decimal over 1, so I'll put it there, which means I move this one over here. 6 goes into 60 10 times. So 6 goes into 6, 1, and then 6 goes into 0, 0. So that gives me 10. So there's the solution for that one. Real world, solving for x, all that cool stuff. Okay, let's look at your actual assignment. Either, oops, go back. It could be either on number 1 and 2, always remember those are in your first 2 pages. They're going to be on page, whatever, example. Yeah, that's part of the first thing, standard form. So this is something that you should have in your... all right, I'm going to skip number 2, describe 2 ways to graph the equation. Oh, okay. So that's example 1 and example 2. You just use the words that they have in there. And summarize. You don't have to write out the whole thing, of course. See, numbers 5 to 13 odd. Write the linear equation in slope-intercept form. This is just balancing an equation. So you have to do 5 to 13. I am going to 5 and 7. I will do 5. Lucky you guys. So you get 5 here. So I'm going to write down the original problem. 5, 2x plus y, looks like a 4. Let's redo that. Plus y equals 17. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the x over to here. I subtract 2x from both sides. I have y left over by itself and negative 2x plus 17. And this is slope-intercept form because I need the y equals mx plus b. So y equals, this is my m, my slope, x plus, and this is my b. Good enough? Now if I'm going to go graph a linear equation on the next step here, we're going to do that. I'll do number, let's see, I can do number, I'll do number 8. I know it's not on your thing, but we'll just show you how to do it. 8. No, I already know you guys struggle with this, so let's here, we'll do 9. I'll change my mind. 9. 16x minus 4y equals 2. I don't like my x or y. I don't like that one. So I'll do this again. Equals 2. There we go. So graph the linear equation. Use a graphing calculator to check your answer. So 2 ways to graph. I could turn it into linear form, or I can do the canceling out. We've already, I just switched the last one to linear form, or slope-intercept, which to me is so much easier. But we'll do this way. I'll do it one way and both ways. First way I'm going to do it, we're going to substitute for we're going to do like they have in example 2, I believe. Yeah, example 2. So I'm going to use an x-intercept. Here we go, x-intercept and y-intercept. Okay, there we go. And so I have 6, I'm going to substitute my y as a 0 in this one. So I have 16x minus 4y equals 2. This has become a 0 right here. So I got this whole thing goes away. 16x equals 2 because 4 times 0 is 0. That's why this went away. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 16. And I will have x by itself now because 16 over 16 is 1. So this is 16 over 16 is 1. And then 2 over 16 is 1/8. So I have a nice I don't like that. And then, because 1/8 is hard to graph, but nonetheless, when y equals 0, I don't need that. So these are my coordinates here. It'd be 1/8, comma 0. That's one coordinate. My y-intercept would be the 16 times 0 equals 0 minus 4y equals 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 because I'm trying to get this 4 away from the y. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I'm left with just a y. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. Also, don't like that. So I'm going to do line slope interform next because that's going to be easier. So when you do this one, I would just suggest doing line slope. So I'm going to rewrite my original here. 16x minus 4y equals 2. I'm going to get this on the other side, so I'm going to subtract 16 from this side. That makes this go away, like so. And I'm left with negative 4y equals negative 16x plus 2. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4 because I don't want a negative here with the y. And I'm going to divide this by negative 4, which will take care of that negative. It will become a positive. Oh, it'll change the 2 into a negative. So here I've got y equals, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and I took the negatives away because I did negative 4 divided by negative 4. Negative 16 divided by negative 4 is just a regular old 4, and I have an x plus, and then I have 1/2. Oh, I made a mistake. I hope you saw it. Here it is. This is no longer a positive. It becomes a negative because it's positive 2 divided by negative 4. So this is negative 4. Now when I go to graph this, my b, this is where my first point of reference is. It's on at 1/2 on the x. So if I have my graph here, and this is 1, for example, right here, then 1/2 is where that point is. It's right there. For Victoria, who likes to do it in a different color, there you go, 4. Then I'm going to look at my slope, which is up 4 over 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't have my 5 marked, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I went up 4, I'd be up to 4.5 because I started at 1/2, and then I would go over 1, which is maybe not perfect, but that's basically where it would line up, just like that. And it would be a line that would go both ways. And make my dots bigger so you can see them. There you go. That's the easiest way to graph it. The other way would work too. It's just harder because I'm looking for some smaller numbers. Oh, I was wrong. I was looking at this wrong. I was thinking, man, something's wrong. I did something wrong. Okay, so here's what's wrong, if you didn't catch it. This is wrong. It's not positive 1/2. It's negative 1/2. The y is going to cross over. I didn't do that right. It's negative 1/2. If I did 1/2, it would be wrong because over here, when it crosses the x-axis, it crosses at 1/8, which is really close right here. So when this comes across, then it's actually right here. This is where the line is. Same slope. Everything else was right, but that was wrong. I started in the wrong spot. All right, there you go for that. And next section of information, let's see. Match the equations. Ooh, I remember doing this with some of you. Okay, but this is a good place to review. Easiest way to do this, I would change number 11 and 13. I would change them into line slope format. You're just going to compare them with whichever, one of them. I'm going to do 13. so you can see it real quick. And I'm just going to get you started. I'm not going to do the whole thing. 10x plus 8y equals negative 40. Moving the 10x over, and so that leaves me with 8y equals negative 10x, because I'm subtracting 10x from this side, and I'm doing it from the other side as well, is minus 40. Then I'm dividing everything by this coefficient of 8 so that I get y all by itself, and it's going to do that really nicely here. So I have y all by itself now. Negative 10 divided by 8 is, in my head, do it as fast as I can. I think it's going to be 5 over 4, because 2 goes into 10 and 2 goes into 8. I can divide them both by 2. So negative 5 over 4y minus 80 over 40, that's 5, I think. 5 times 8 is 40, if I'm not mistaken. So that's negative 5. Now, my slope is this. My y-intercept is that. Now, if I go look over there, I've got 2 of them that start with b. It could be, or it could be c. Because remember, this is where the y crosses, or where the y is on its own axis, and this is the slope. And when it's negative, which way does it go? Does it go this way, or does it go up? This is a minus, that was a positive. So just a reminder for you guys on that one. Okay, next section. We have 14. Oh, you have to go back and do 14. Where's that? Oh, 14, error analysis. That one's not too bad. I think you probably can handle that. I'll just give you a quick little show on that one. Remember, it says describe and correct. So I always start out with figuring out what it is. So I just write out what they do. Negative 2x plus 3y equals 12. And then they substituted for a 0 here. So negative 2 and the x's becomes a 0 plus 3y equals 12. Nothing wrong so far. Then we have 3y equals 12. And, boy, what am I missing? Oh. Here's the problem right here. The question says, where's the x-intercept? Is this showing us the x-intercept? That's the question. Is it the x-intercept, or is this actually showing us the y-intercept? This is actually showing us the y-intercept. So they did this substitution that happened here, should have happened here instead. It should be, so this is where the error is. This is where it should be. And then you go ahead and solve this. You need to go ahead and fix and correct the error. So instead of this line being here, we're just going to take that out, and it should be negative 2x plus 3, and then in parentheses with the 0, equals 12. Now, if we were looking for the y-intercept, then this would be just fine. But their error is that they were looking for the x, and when they went and found the y. 15 to 21 odds. I think you guys can probably do this. The biggest thing to do, I'm going to just help you with this. On 15, what are the important things to remember, or note, or find? My important numbers are, I have a charm bracelet. It's $65, right? So I need that. That's the charm bracelet. That's important. And plus, I need $25. What's this $25 for? $25 for each charm. Oh, the bracelet. So this is the bracelet. And then each charm. And we'll just say each, CH, for charm. The equation is, oh, lovely, lovely. They give us the equation 25x plus y equals 65. So here they've given us standard form. Remember, this whole assignment is about standard form. And cost is our y and of the bracelet, where x is the number of charms. So graph the equation. So you choose your medicine on this one. You can use 0, or you can put it in line slope. Line slope is really easy because there's nothing in front of the y to take care of if you do that. And remember, to do that, I'm going to add 25x to both sides. And, it looks like this, 25x plus 65. There you go, that's slope-intercept. And then you have to count and do all that good stuff for that. So you get all those parts. And let's see what next. 17, graph the linear equation using intercepts. Use graphing calculator to check. So they want you to use the intercepts. So in fact, on number 17, you actually do need to do each one of those intercepts. And remember, for the x-intercept, I'm going to just do x-int. You make y equal 0. For the y-intercept, x has to equal 0. So that's the only thing to remember, and do that. And then you just work out the math. I know you can do that. Let's see, number 19. The amount of money spent on CD and DVD is given by the equation 14x plus 18y equals 126. So I'm looking at 19. And they give us our standard form. Remember, this whole assignment is standard form information equals 126. And find the intercepts and graph the equation. Okay, so find the intercepts and graph the equation. It's just like 17, just another way to do it. And 21 looks like it'll probably be the same thing, only we have to write an equation. What you'll need to decide on number 21. Okay, going on to 21. Here, I just erased some stuff because I did it wrong. If you notice here, it already gives us some information on 21. We need to have two things. Host is X and server is Y. So those are the two things you're going to help you with your earnings. The X and the Y are going to represent hours that you worked. The wages are going to be the number before the X and the Y. So what we have for sure is we have that $9.45 is for, if we look over here, for working as a host. And if I look on the right at that basic information little graphic there, it says number of hours worked as host, X. So I'm going to use X here, plus number of hours, and then I have $7.95. This is how much I got paid for Y number of hours I worked as a server. In total, I got $160.65. So I wrote the equation in standard form of my model. This is my A right here. I've got that. My B, graph the equation. Now, I'm going to let you do that. You can use a calculator. These are pretty big numbers if you would like, and then check your answer with Desmos to make sure you have it right. But you can, but I do expect that you put this into linear or line slope, or cancel out and use the 0 policy. So if x equals 0, you get that first intercept and the other intercept. I'm not sure. Line slope might be easiest. Again, and you can just put this in Desmos and get it too. But I would like you to work out the math, at least show your math, that you know what you're doing with solving.